You blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink.
I got you.
Let's go.
Welcome to yet another edition of the Tom Green podcast. The Lions are 0-8, and frankly, I had a good time not getting to talk about them for a week because we knew that they were not going to lose once again. But the second half of the season begins, and with the second half of the season comes 9 opportunities for the Lions to get that first victory in Coach Dan Campbell's regime. With that said, we bring in the Men of Steel podcast, or should we say the Man of Steel, Charles Ritchie. He isn't necessarily part of the Steel Curtain, but I'm sure he wishes he could be. How's it going, Charles?
Good. Thank you very much. I don't know about Man of Steel just yet, though. I mean, I'll have to watch out with that with Warner Bros. But other than that, feeling pretty confident right now. Once again, Steelers right now, they find themselves in control of their own destiny as we speak after having a whimsical of a start right now, more particularly with the run block and the offensive line, which you've seen all season. But here they are right now, second place in the AFC, the 6th seed in the wild card right now, and plus a key game going on tonight, which is at halftime. Baltimore Ravens in Miami versus the Dolphins right now. The Ravens happen to lose that game tonight, and the Steelers get a win once again, hopefully versus the Lions, which I have confidence they will. They could find themselves in first place in the AFC North based on their record in the AFC North division. Ravens have only lost one time, battling 1 point, which is when they hosted the Bengals back 2-3 weeks ago. And I believe that was during the Steelers' bye right there. They lost that one in convincing fashion to Joe Burrow and the Bengals right there. So how about that right now? I know it's been a wacky start, but doing what I expected right now, and congratulations to Mike Tomlin. Passing Bill Cowher on regular season wins with 150. He is now 4 more shy to pass him in career wins, which includes regular season and playoffs. And the surprising thing is, too, it's the same number of wins he needs this year to avoid a non-losing season, which would be 9 wins. And if he does that this year, that'll pull him past Bill Cowher in career wins total. So that's how we're doing tonight.
Absolutely. He's doing great. And you never know, the Steelers could be in front of the AFC North once we are done, not necessarily done with this podcast, but when the podcast has run its course and the Lions and Steelers finish. So after that Steelers talk, my Lions are 0-8. My Lions laid 2 eggs at Ford Field, one against Cincinnati, the other against Philly before the bye week.
You know what? Not to cut you off, too, but sad thing about it is, too, this has been, last time I checked, this was still under the last previous regime under Matt Patricia, dating back to Thanksgiving of last year, this losing streak began. So it's not only an 8-game losing streak. I believe it's about those games they lost down the stretch. So I think it's a 12-game losing streak, if I'm not mistaken, going into this year right now. Yeah, 12 games, and that was to the Houston Texans last year.
Yeah, it's been very rough at Ford Field and even on the road. It just hasn't been pretty for the Detroit Lions. It's 2008-esque. It's just it's hard to explain and it's hard to fathom. But again, the Detroit Lions find themselves on a long losing streak. So as a Steelers fan, how could perhaps you see the Lions ending that losing streak? Hopefully not, of course, in your mind, hopefully not against your Steelers, but what should the Lions do to end this losing streak?
Well, I think you got to put the pressure right now and shine down the run game of the Steelers right now, because last time you checked right now, I mean, Najee Harris, he's been doing a good job right now, leading all rookie running backs going into this game right now with 541 yards, which is 10th amongst all current running backs off 150 carries. He's averaging 67 yards per game, nearly well over 3.5 yards per attempt. And he's also right now second in scrimmage yards in his rookie class behind Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase. Right now, he has 289 reception yards for 830 total. So if I'm the Lions right now, you got to find a way to overwhelm the offensive line. The offensive line has kind of played, took a little bit of a step back this past week versus the Bears. I think they did okay probably give him a C minus. But when you look at the Detroit Lions and like what their weapons they got right there, you look at like probably like the two-head attack right there, who they got. And I saw a game not too long ago when they were playing in LA versus the Rams, which they almost stole. But thanks to a few costly turnovers late in the game, one of them which by Jalen Ramsey, former Jaguar right there, who kind of like did the Lions fade in that day. You look at guys like Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift right there. I think especially like a guy like Jamal Williams who can run late in games right now. He's their leading back right now, and you got DeAndre Swift not too far off behind them. So Williams got 312 yards, followed by 289 yards of Swift. But the difference between those two is like the scrimmage yards right there where it flips. DeAndre Swift is more the all-around player. He leads his team with 704 yards, 5 touchdowns right there. So I think if anything, if your line's right there, it's winning the battle line scrimmage more importantly, because we know Jared Goff right now. He has not been nearly the same quarterback like it was that lost in that Super Bowl. I mean, to be honest, I never really followed him as a top tier quarterback at that point, but he was definitely exciting. I think he did enough to be managing and okay. I think he had more of a better situation with Sean McVay. No disrespect right there. I mean, Sean McVay, I think, was just more of a creative coach right there. And you look at the Lions situation right there too. I mean, you got like Holmes right now is like your executive vice president, GM right there. I mean, who's coming over. So I really believe it's gotta be stuff in the run on defense for the Lions, and then be able to control the game on the ground. I think that's gotta be key right there, and which could lead to time possession.
Absolutely. I'll tell you made one error, and that error was that you had thought that Detroit actually had weapons, because in my mind they lack that. Especially
but at the same time too, you know what you always hear the saying by Mike Tomlin: "Smile in the face of adversity." Trust me, I know football is a totally different game where it was like 15, 20 years ago, where we're used to seeing guys like you and I defense. When you have like an established lead, you really see defense start to shut down. It was definitely more the offense is exploding at a whole new level right there. Officials, making headlines in the game, which I'm sure we'll get into that shortly.
Absolutely.
A little bit later on. But, it's like you better darn believe. That's why think of it, oldie but a goodie, 60 minutes is true to its finest form right there. 14-3 lead versus the Bears at halftime. And you look at the Steelers right now. So far what they've been able to do. Whenever they had halftime leads, and this was especially in the midst of their 4-game winning streak, 3 of those games versus the Broncos, Seahawks, and Chicago Bears, they led at halftime for a combined total 45-9, which was like about a 36-point lead. In those games, when it came to the second half, they have been outscored 34-57 for minus 23 right there. So again, granted, I think this is a doable game. I could probably compare it to like last year when they played the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Last year where they won that game 27-3. I'm not saying by any means it's going to be that, but I think if you're the Steelers right now, you're Mike Tomlin, you're going to this game more than likely without Chase Claypool's got an injured toe injury right there, which would be very serious. Seems like it'd be week to week as opposed to season ending according to Ian Rappaport, but we shall wait and see about that. So, I imagine we're going to use a lot more tight ends going into this game, too, to help blocking, start getting Freiermuth and Gentry going. You might see Ebron get in there, who's been struggling with some drops right there. So, I really believe right there, because, like I said, if you could find a way to, put this game on Ben Roethlisberger, force him to put the ball in his hands, I really believe that you could stay in it right there, and who knows, possibly – win it, because like I said, I seen that game versus the Rams right there, and what they did late running the ball, they got the Rams defense winded right there. It just came to boil down to, at the end of the day, they couldn't close the deal thanks to some crucial turnovers by Goff right there. So I think that's the only question you got to get into right now. When you look at a guy like Dan Campbell, great guy, great character. He says he wants to identify with the city of Detroit, their attitude right there. But at the same time, too, you also got to be a little bit concerned if you're a Lions fan, seeing this frustration happen right now. I mean, and trying to not to have another winless season. I'm not saying it's going that route, but there's got to be a question in place. It's a difference where you have a line between motivating your players and actually like make some counteractive strategies to really control the flow of the game and set the tempo. I think that's where the concerns lie at right now. Is he's learning as a head coach, because last thing he wants to be labeled as the first. I mean, one of the rare people who's experienced a winless season as a player and a head coach. That's the only thing right now.
Yeah, and who knows as far as that goes with our Detroit Lions, but as long as they're on the field, they have a chance, and they just got to avoid those costly turnovers. As I said on the show before, turnovers are great at Arby's, but not on the field. So let's talk about this taunting call. And you have some audio for us, and we're going to listen to actually the taunting call here in just a second. But as a Steelers fan, take me through that.
I will say this. I mean, going into that game right there, I mean, listen, you can look at that play right there, and a lot of people definitely are frustrated in the way it's ruining the game right there. You have Mike Tomlin, who said at the end of the game, too, aside from the official, that they're trying to, track all audiences right there, especially for a younger generation right now. And the referees, according to Tony Corrente, he has been told by, the officiating crew that they're going to be making taunting and unsportsmanlike conduct a point of emphasis. So you may agree or disagree with the call emphatically, but at the same time, if it's by the letter of the law, I believe at the end of the day, he got it right. The only question I have, which looked very suspicious, he warranted it when he coincidentally, when Marsh was going back towards his bench after staring down the Steelers for a little bit, after taking a couple of steps, once he's going back towards the middle of the field, he bumps into Tony Corrente, who turns right into him. So when he bumps into Cassius Marsh right there, that's his reason. I mean, it appears right there on screen that warranted the flag. If it was unsportsmanlike conduct, my only issue I take with it should have been called when he took a few steps, started mouthing off, the flag should have been thrown, not when he bumped into a player. That's the only issue I take with that. So if you want, I play the clip if you're ready right now to hear that.
Absolutely, let's hear it.
Roethlisberger somehow gets out of there, and now he's taken down. Cassius Marsh just elevated today for tonight's game. That'll go as the third sack for Chicago. Gonna get off the field. It's fourth down.
Chicago just plays two-man. Just watch how they lock up across the board. Everybody playing great man coverage. Safety's over the top. This is a coverage sack. Just watch how they lock up across the board. There's nowhere for Ben to go with this football. Nowhere.
At the conclusion of the play, taunting, defense number 59. 15-yard penalty will create a first down.
Oh,
That's Marsh.
Unbelievable.
And that was a play right there you just heard, courtesy of Monday Night Football with Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, and then, of course, Brian Greasy right there, the threesome right there of today's Monday Night Football. That was a call right there. And like I said, I take issue. You decide to throw the flag when you bump into the player right there. I mean, Tony Corrente, he seems like he's kind of had a little bit of a suspicious history as of late when you look at this guy right here. But like I said, I did not like the way they had to be the controversy of the game. But when you're in media, unfortunately, you're going to have some negatives to focus on, stuff that's going to draw attention for the wrong reasons. But, at the end of the day, listen, technically he did call it. It is the right call. I have a problem with the timing. It should have been thrown when he was going towards the sideline, pausing and mouthing off just a little bit. That's when the flag should have been thrown, not when he bumped into the guy. That was just ridiculous.
Exactly, and it certainly looked like that Corrente warranted it. And Corrente's officiating crew has had a history of being an officiating crew that has had that has called a lot more penalties than most. So it really shouldn't surprise a lot of people that that call was made, but we both do have issue with Correnti bumping Marsh and then throwing the flag. It's like, okay, yeah, fine. If you want to throw it when Marsh was staring down the Pittsburgh bench, fine, but not when you bump into the guy. I mean, you're penalizing the guy for you bumping into him? Makes no sense to me. But nonetheless, a taunting penalty that with its consequence perhaps ends up costing Chicago a victory over Pittsburgh.
And not only that, too, the senior vice president of officiating, Perry Fuel, right there, he actually supported Correnti in that decision right there. And here's a quote right here, according to NFL.com and ESPN as well, I'm sure you'll find. He goes on, quote, saying, in Chicago versus Pittsburgh, Bears number 59, of course, Cassius Marsh, in that play is penalized for taunting. As he was explaining in the video that was posted to Twitter, he takes several steps towards the Pittsburgh bench, posturing toward their sideline. Taunting is a point of emphasis to promote sportsmanship and respect for opponents. This is recommended by the competition committee and coaches. So that's that.
Yeah, so definitely taunting has been a point of emphasis, but there's a point where if the ref somehow warrants it, and I'm not necessarily saying Correnti warranted the flag, but yeah, we had basically talked about it, and that is, if you want to throw the flag when he's staring at the bench, fine, but don't throw it when you bump into him. It just
last thing I want this to lead into too, and because we got replay challenges and stuff right now, and I was listening to like another podcast when I was going home. You check them out on YouTube right there. They're called Steel Twins right there. They do their own coverage of Pittsburgh Steelers right there. Their own independent podcast, doing a great job, by the way. But they were mentioning too, I mean, it's like, at this point, I mean, if we're going to be like reviewing stuff, you may as well start reviewing like significant stuff in that those moments right there. I mean, take a look at that, because I know a couple of years ago, I don't want to go through it again, but reviewable pass interference, which was totally waste of time, only lasted one season, thank God. But I think in a case like this, you do have to kind of like take a little of a closer look. And I gotta imagine when the NFL's owners meetings, I mean, comes up around like, when is it, like end of February, March of this spring right here, I gotta believe this has got to be something they're gonna like relook at on the table right here. Something they're gonna want to like. Are you sure? I mean, like vote. I mean, like, yeah, I get you're trying to sell to a younger audience, but you also gotta understand at the end of the day too, this is still a war of nutrition right here. At the end of the day, it's just I don't know. It's like trying to like put hand sanitizer on the construction worker's hands and then expect him to keep working with keeping his hands close to clean as possible when he's interacting with others. It's going to be very patient to have work consistently.
Absolutely, and I definitely see that meeting happening, and they're going to have to talk about it because, and you had said about the pass interference rule, that was really just a Band-Aid on the missed call that we all saw when Nickel Roby-Coleman got away with, in my opinion, murder on Tommy Lee Lewis.
what they should do, I know people are going to probably laugh at me for saying this, and I'm not picking fun at anybody, but I'm being dead serious on this. Put some of the damn games on Nickelodeon like they did in the playoffs with the playoff game versus Bears and Saints. I mean, if you want to be talking about educating to a younger audience, I'm all for playing something for younger kids who are watching this. Have fun with it. I thought Nate Burleson did an awesome job right there. I know it got poked a lot of fun, especially by Chris Mad Dog Russo on Sirius XM radio from Mike and the Mad Dog back in the day. We used to be a tandem. But still, I mean, seriously, I don't mind what Mike Tomlin says. You're trying to, like, teach lessons. People are watching it. But put something like that on our channel for kids to watch. Because you know what? You could still make this game educational. And, unfortunately, you're going to see some action, some body language that's not going to be deemed appropriate for younger kids who are preteen or early teenage years. Why not? Put it on here. You could have someone like, educate the game as you're going along, explain some of these penalties real quickly. I'd rather them do that though, if you're going to be going this route. My personal opinion, I would have no problem with that. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to actually watch the Nickelodeon game between the Bears and Saints last year, but I listened to it on the radio, and I thought it was a good idea because not only are young adults like yours truly and you get
All
to
races, genders too, who are in this, all types. I mean, what this game attracts. I'm just saying, if we're going to go that route, let's put it on those platforms too.
yeah, and who doesn't like seeing slime in the end zone?
Yeah. Like I
I mean,
said,
that-
we're going to be watching the games either off our phones or at home or at a bar or some houses with some friends. For the young ones, I would have no problem have some games on a platform like that. Seriously.
Yeah, teach them the game young and have a lot of fun with it because really in retrospect, that's what life is supposed to be. Have a lot
And
of fun.
not only
and
that, more money in business for the NFL at the end of the day. How much more you want to continue to feed your pocketbook so too and be beneficial, cater to more audiences that way. That's good for business, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, life is supposed to be a lot of fun with what you do. In fact, with my new gig at the Huron Daily Tribune, I'm having a lot of fun with that and making the best out of it. With the NFL, you got to make the best out of what you can, and there's another way of doing it. Is Nickelodeon teaching the younger kids? Young adults can kind of relive their childhood a little bit with slime in the end zone and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's a good idea. Absolutely, I support that.